So there are a lot of really good guns in this game, but let's say the meta right now is the Grau. If you think you're better with an MP7, an AK-47, even though I don't think they're good, if you notice you're consistently getting the highest kill streaks with a certain weapon, that's the weapon I would continue to run. Like I said, one of my streaks started with a Dragunov and I got to 12 or 13. So, you can always pick weapons up off the ground, but I just say stick with the gun that you're doing the best with. And that isn't necessarily the top meta weapon. You may not like that gun for some reason. You may like something that hits a little bit harder, maybe has a little more recoil though, but you're okay with that. Just use whatever gun you're used to and you can get the highest kill streaks with.
Yeah. So this is interesting. I kind of agree with you and I kind of don't. I feel like it depends on what their super comfortable weapon is. So like, for example, like let's say we're talking SMGs. The meta SMG right now is the MP5, obviously. Yep. Let's say your favorite SMG and one you're more comfortable with is the MP7. In that case, I think running an MP7 is better. But let's say instead your favorite SMG is the Bison. Don't run a Bison. It's not good enough. It's just not good enough. I don't care how comfortable you are with it, but when you come up to some dude with his MP5, it doesn't matter how comfortable you are with a Bison. The MP5 is so much better that you're really making it a lot harder on yourself needlessly. Whereas the difference between like an MP5 and an MP7, it's a lot narrower of a gap. And that gap can be overcome with comfort. So you're more comfortable with an MP7. It's probably better, even though it's a little worse of a gun than an MP5. But like a Bison is just so much worse than an MP5 that I would say, don't use that. Get used to a better gun. And by the way, you can go to like COD Tracker and look at your stats. Actually, I think you can do this in game also. You can look at what your highest KD weapon is. So I remember looking at this, my highest KD weapon is the Ram 7. And that's a great gun. So the meta gun right now for multiplayer, the meta AR might be the FAL, but I don't know what my FAL KD is, but if my RAM KD is way higher and I'm way more comfortable with full auto, the difference between a FAL and a RAM, FAL's really good. It's hard to say. Yeah. It might overcome that and it might not. I don't know. So it's kind of complicated, but you can look up your own stats. If you're not sure what you're comfortable with, you can go look at the analytics for yourself and see what you're performing the best with. That is always going to usually be, not always usually, that is usually going to be a good strategy, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it's not often you're going to have a higher KD with like a gun that we think is shit. But if you go to your stats right now, you have 1,000 kills with an M4 and 1,000 kills with an M13. And if your M13 KDR is like 1.2 and your M4 is 1.0, then use the M13. Yeah. Even though it's not the better gun generally, if you have a lot of kills with that weapon, it's your higher KD weapon, that's what I would run.
Yeah. In that case, I would agree with you. Yeah. Especially 0.2.
But yeah, that's not going to happen often. I mean, generally it is going to be the meta guns, the Grau, the MP5, the M4, MP7, things like that in multiplayer. But there will be a few cases where your gun isn't the meta.